Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. Wanted to weigh in on this tragic story out of Tennessee. Yet another school shooting, not too long after the Covenant school shooting that rocked the state. This time it is at Antioch High School. It happened yesterday morning, Wednesday morning. One student is dead and another is wounded in the shooting. Look, unfortunately, there's so many of these that sometimes it's like, how do you know when to weigh in, what to comment on? I think that as we head into a new administration, when it seems like there's not going to be any energy around additional regulations regarding school safety, regarding guns, clearly there is some political salience here. But I think in this particular case, it is worth weighing in on from a political lens because the shooter himself has allegedly said in his own writings that he was politically motivated. So I want to turn to this report from the Nashville Banner. Just want to shout out the local folks at Nashville Banner and at Tennessee Holler, my friends at the Tennessee Holler who have been covering this. The Nashville Banner, though, has this. He said the shooter said that his radicalization was in part due to a number of far-right figures, including Nick Fuentes and former Nashvilleian Candace Owens. Quote, Candace Owens has influenced me above all. Each time she spoke, I was stunned by her insights, and her own views helped push me further and further into the belief of violence over the Jewish question. First on Fuentes, I assume most people watching this feed know, but he is a far-right, radical conspiracist that is the figurehead of a group called the Groypers that has a large strain of kind of white identitarianism. There's some support of Trump, but a lot of what you see from the Groypers is from kind of this alt-right tradition that is focused a lot on racial politics, whiteness, makeup of the country, and it is a kind of a rare corner on the right that is pretty hostile to Israel. Candace Owens is another member of that rare corner. I wrote a profile on her about a year ago now, and used to spend a lot of time listening to Candace's podcast, kind of get a sense for what was happening on the MAGA right before she had a falling out with Ben Shapiro over these issues. And it was kind of interesting that Ben Shapiro, who's Jewish and a Zionist, was platforming her at the Daily Wire for so long while she was, kind of advancing a lot of, sort of a lot of talking points that are echoing of what you hear from anti-Semitic quarters. She was doing a decent amount of dog whistling if you were able to hear the frequency, which you would think Shapiro would have been. But eventually this kind of reached a head during the Israel-Palestine crisis, and she left. And so I haven't been following her podcast as closely over the last year as I was, but the fact that she gets pushed out of the Daily Wire basically over her willingness to advance, at some level, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. At least that was, how the argument was framed. And now to have this kind of online radicalism and online dispute come offline in the very community where she was living, I just think it's a reminder about how real this stuff is. And this is always the challenge when you are talking about kind of racism and anti-Semitism and radicalization online, is that if you look at, not really Candace is pretty self-serious, but if you look at the Nick Fuentes material, there's always a tinge of humor to it, right? It's like, am I doing a racist joke or am I being really racist, right? Like, do I think that, that the number of people died at concentration camps was exaggerated? Or am I just, kind of pretending to think that as some sort of broader commentary about how I don't like wokeism? You know what I mean? Like, they always do, like, many of them have this kind of tongue-in-cheek element to it. And so I think that in turn then creates tension, right? About how people that are trying to call it out do, right? You know, there's this question of, oh, do I elevate this by mentioning it, right? Does it make me seem stupid if I am calling somebody out for, you know, racist jokes, if they're just saying, oh, it was just humor, right? Am I going overboard by making exact accusation, right? All these conversations were happening right around the Musk thing, right? Like, am I, you know, there's this like backsplash that comes against the people that are trying to fight anti-Semitism, you know, if there are examples where it seems like, you know, they're seeing something that isn't there, or they're exaggerating it, or they're you know, not laughing with the boys at the locker room talk, right? This stuff gets removed from real life in the conversation on social media. And in a situation like this, you see why it matters, like why there is real life consequences, you know, because not everybody is in on the joke. Some people are in on the joke and are taking it seriously. And, you know, it's just so tragic that this appears to be one of these, you know, one of these situations, at least according to the reporting that we're getting early. Obviously, a lot of this stuff develops. We'll continue to monitor if there's new kind of information that comes out. And the other thing I wanted to share that my friends at Tennessee Holler shared just about this tragic situation is this clip from a mother of a teen at the school.
It's fine, Mom. It happens. Should it, though? It's my 16-year-old is like, oh, it's fine, Mom. It happens.
And as a mom, how does it make you feel to hear that?
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that it's normal. It should not be normal.
That's the other thing that's sad about this to me, right? Like, there's the political element of this, but there's also just the human element. I've been, you know, I don't know if you saw, but I did another video with Cam Caskey, who started March for Our Lives after Parkland, where he was there at Parkland during that mass shooting. I was talking to him the other day, and I've been talking to a couple of other folks that are younger that at some level experienced gun violence in their schools. And one thing that is just apparent in having these conversations is just the resignation. You know, the resignation that you see from that, from the story that mother tells about her 16-year-old, right? That this is just kind of what happens. Like, we just have to accept this. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue against that, particularly if you look over the next 4 years, given the new administration we have then in. But these fights are long. These battles are long. It is one that I have been transformed by, in my views. And I don't think this is something we have to accept. And I think that it is important to call it out and not just get numb to it. And so we will continue to monitor it here. You can subscribe to the feed. Thanks again to the folks at the Nashville Banner and Tennessee Holler doing the reporting on the ground. And we'll talk to you guys again soon.